This is Osakimi again for your weekly video. If this is September 26, 2022, another week has closed. We are about 75% through Monday. We've had a pretty decently green Monday, quite a surprise. But we're going to cover a few things. First, welcome. I'm glad you guys watched this. Even one extra view matters right now since I don't have a lot of subscribers yet. So I really appreciate you guys. More than likely you're visiting because you know me on Twitter. That's my main account. If you're here on YouTube, please like, subscribe, so that way I can kind of generate more content, get that flowing, get more videos. Feel free to comment. I didn't know comments were disabled until last week. Just let me know anything good, bad, ugly, whatever. I want to keep improving, so tell me how it is, please. I've also, on my Twitter, have launched a newsletter called the OSU newsletter. It's directly connected to my Twitter account, so you can go onto my profile and click subscribe. It's completely free. I'm always going to intend for that to be free. I don't think there's even a way to monetize that directly. So it should almost always be free for users. I will have, that newsletter will be about Bitcoin, Ethereum, some altcoins. It'll have some altcoin picks. Those altcoin picks will never be sponsored, ever. I want to make sure I have a clean, non-sponsored flow to those newsletters. I mean, the newsletters may eventually be sponsored, but the picks will never be. So, and those are all based off of things that I look for when I buy coins. They're always going to be liquid coins, etc., etc. And then I'll also have a few topics on there as well. I just released my second issue today, so you can go on there as well. I can link that in the description here as well. Also, I know that my videos have generally been 30 to 40 minutes. I'm pleased to tell you guys that I will probably not be doing those of that length, except for maybe like once a month, once I start generating more videos. Right now I'm doing about once a week, so about 4 per month. Once I start getting to, my plan is to refine this process, so by the end of the year, I'm doing about 10 to 15 videos a month, about maybe 10 to 12, and doing a combination of short form and then maybe a few long ones. Those will probably be more live stream-ish type videos, long thoughts, but I realize that a lot of these videos are 45 minutes, and that's, I'm imagining that people are kind of just not viewing the, and I don't blame you. I don't think I would do it myself now that I've looked back on those things. So I'm going to try to keep these to about 15 minutes at the most. So that way I can be more detailed in my thoughts. You guys can see the content that you need. You don't see me rambling. And my newsletter and other options, that's for even my private Telegram. If you haven't been a part of my Telegram, it's also on my Twitter. It's my pinned message as of this date. The Telegram is usually where I'm going to probably do more long form content. So this will be more, YouTube will be more for just strict visuals. Newsletter will just be like growing market thoughts. So it's a little bit of everything for everybody, and you can custom tailor that to yourself. Like, my plan is to get a whole suite of things going. Anyway, I've already talked too long for my intro. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to cover Bitcoin. I'm going to cover Ethereum. I'm also going to cover, I got these here for a reason. Cover Bitcoin, Ethereum. We're going to cover the ETH Bitcoin pair. We'll cover Solana. And then I'll cover a few alts very briefly. So we'll just get into this. So on the weekly, let's see, I'm going to remove all this right here. So we've already, we closed. Actually, we closed below. We have a new low. See if we can zoom in right here. then, I'm playing all this out so it's easier for you guys to understand. So our previous low was right here. We broke below, and that brings a new set of things to come in, but we're also above this, the actual low. Or I should say we closed, rather. So we closed below the previous close. So now we're kind of stuck in this position between this close and this low. So when you flush that out, it looks like that. So we're kind of in this weird swing low. I call it swing low order block, as you guys may know. We're kind of in the swing low order block, or a slob, for example. And it gets kind of messy because the supply tries to make shift into like something bigger. And until you break above or break below, this red area is pretty much pointless. I would like to see this close above the red, obviously, before the end of the weekly close. We just started that close. We just started that week, rather. So we have a lot to produce this week if we want to make it up that high. I would prefer that we get above here. This is a clear break to me. This is more of a deviation, in my opinion, because there's more candles that are structurally part of this rather than this. So if we can go above 21,000, I'd be much more confident in a long. Not interested in shorts, at least on this time frame. Again, because we have this supply that's kind of being contested, and we need to break below in order to do that. So I'm not interested in shorts. I know shorts are up a lot right now, and that gives me reason to believe, that we might be in danger of a squeeze. So far, nothing has been kind of indicative one way or the other. Going to the daily. Actually, let's go back straight up to the weekly again. So, this structure here that I just pointed out, one of the big concerns is that it didn't seem like it's in no man's land, or it did seem like it was in no man's land, but we got kind of this weird structure here, and that kind of works on the daily a little bit. We have this kind of order block mess here. So that's one reason that we're kind of contesting this area. And another reason is because we're right here at legacy support. And currently we're still hanging below that 20,000 psychological thing. But I mean, honestly, it was more like 19.3. A lot of people talked about it as 20 grand just because it was psychologically easier to say, and just simpler to write down. But we're kind of in this area. That's another reason to me, like, we shouldn't be flirting around with this line short wise until we break it, because we got this mini structure here on the daily, we got this big structure on the weekly, and these things matter. I do think that most people are too aggressive on shorts right now, and we'll just see how it goes. We also technically have a divergence here on the weekly, and it's very slim, but it is present. I think it's yeah, okay. It's also prominent on the 5-day. I had heard that, but I didn't verify that till now. So that's another reason to be cautious, in my opinion. And not so much on the 10-day, but you get the idea. So that's the reason for me to be cautious here. I don't see any reason. Like I said in previous videos, time to short was here. Time to short was, when we had the 2-week divergence. Time, and this, we had an impulse down. We had a bearish breaker on a divergence. This is where I got out. I got out in the 60,000 range. The time when to get out was at 58,000. That's a long story. Different video maybe. I have rambled about that in previous videos, but this is what we got now. Daily time frame. We're still kind of struggling here, and honestly, this is what Bitcoin's trying to do. Is trying to figure out how we can get out of this structure. This is very, very, very messy. And a lot of this is those meetings, the FOMC meetings, all the DXY and all those indexes complicate things. How we are viewing these charts, we should be viewing these charts as plainly as possible. What Bitcoin alone is saying, what Ethereum alone is saying, and a lot of these are due to various meetings, and that's even more prominent on lower time frames. But right now, we can kind of look at these as separate order blocks, and so we're kind of struggling right here. So we need to make it above the 19.5, 19.6. It's not looking that great on daily and lower time frames. And that tends to happen at lows anyway. And that's one reason why people want to short. Well, it looks bad. We have no confirmation. And I agree. I totally agree with that. That's not my personal trading method. But I do agree with that. I don't have confirmation to continue the momentum. So that's why I don't short. But I don't have confirmation to long. So that's why I don't long. So that's the thing. Like right now, like we've been in this area since June. So I've had no reason, we've been in, so take this low right here, we connected up here, and to that low here. So we've been in this range since June. So almost 5 months now. And it's one of those things that this is going to break one way or the other. We're close to breaking, but this is also where a retest would make the most sense and also would make the most optimal long opportunity. I'm not saying we will long. I do want confirmation before I do. But also there's no reason to short, in my opinion. The best thing to do, and I've mentioned this before, we'll just go to the 4-day. I like the 4-day a lot. If you want to buy in, I personally would not short if you already have not been in a perp short already. But I've already bought at 13.3, which I'm slightly underwater. The next time I would probably buy is here at 17.3. Next one would be here at 11.9, and I've already got that marked. So, and that goes in line with these retests. So, going to the 1 hour, this matters less on the 1 week chart, but you can just see the choppiness is apparent. A lot of that's just recycling of liquidity. People just playing musical chairs with their own money, and it's just not a time unless you're a high profile like scalp trader. I just wouldn't dabble with this, and that's about it on the lower time frame. There's not. This is just so much noise. This is just not worth getting involved in, because unless you're a really good, like I said, unless you're a good, scalp daily trader that has good range bound analytics, that's the only reason you're going to be able to be profitable right here. And a lot of these guys on Twitter probably aren't as profitable as you think. They post a chart. It's like, okay, here's my presentation of this. This altcoin went up 30%. Well, they didn't tell you the risk to reward for that. They probably only made like 1% versus the risk that they took. And unless they can prove otherwise. I'm not trying to call them out or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, this is a lot harder in practice. And this range, we have been, let's just take the top and bottom of this range, and we'll even go here versus here, because that's kind of a deviation, so to speak. And so let's say you traded maybe like half of it. So unless you're more likely not going to get the extremes. So let's divide this in half, right? There's a lot of math involved, but just kind of trust me on this. So you're dealing with a 5% range. ever since the 19th. So that's I mean, unless you're doing like 1% or even 1.5% stops, let's say 2%. So you're taking 50x. You're taking a 50x leverage opportunity probably just to make money, and that's not profitable. I mean, it is profitable. It can be profitable, but it's what I meant to say is that's really risky for the average person. It's usually only for the skilled and the veterans, and even if you do the full range, it's 9%. So you're looking at a minimum of 10x just to capitalize, and that's if you got in at the extremes. 50x if you got in on an average scale. Probably more so even 100x if you see what I'm saying. Like you get too high there on the leverage, and that's why you have these extremes. So, so we'll get rid of that. So that's Bitcoin in a nutshell. This is more for the day. Like I said, for the actual week, what I'm looking at is if we just maintain green for the week, that would be a huge win for the long scale. We had a little divergence. We had on the 5-day, and that's like I said, we get a bullish week. That's the first step, and we'll see how they go. We kind of got some sort of pattern here, similar, but we'll see. Goal, short-term goal, green week. We can move on. Not interested in any shorts at all. Not interested in any huge buying opportunities unless we confirm higher or we go lower. And I'm talking at least 1,700 even, or even lower. So, all right, Ethereum is looking a little better. Let's go on to 1 week, since this is the 1 week video. Get rid of that. Actually, we'll get rid of everything here. Make a clean chart. All right. One thing we got here, we had a slightly bearish week, but nothing too bad. We did retest that on the daily, which I'll show you in a minute. Aaron trend is kind of getting lower here, and that's a good sign of market indecision, and then we're going to get some kind of follow through. We got our last follow through here, which resulted in a large push down. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at as well. RSI is not looking too good, and AO and the other profiles not looking good as well. But other than that, we're kind of in this big range between here at the 2000s and more or less the 1000 range. And honestly, not. I mean, I'm not really doing a whole lot with this as far as buying in. And one of the reasons is we've had bearish engulfing here, bearish breaker here. I'm eventually expecting this to retest at the high 17s. But we also got this retest here, and I'll show you that on the daily. Get rid of this. And we got this right here. That's what I'm looking at here. Right now we got fairly solid retest so far. I'm waiting for a follow through. Like to see it above 1400. Probably more so like 1420, I guess. Got the nice bullish consolidation on the A-rune, which had no effect, which means that A-rune is diverging, going into a wedge. So my thought process is if we can go a little farther, that we can do something like this, so to speak. And that's just a rough estimate, but that's kind of what I've got going on in my mind about what I'm looking for. Until we break this, I see no reason. Like I said, this you should, even if you don't think something's going to hold, you should generally have that expectation that it will hold. Not necessarily playing momentum into play, but that's just how things work, like supply and demand, support, resistance. You should always make the initial assumption that support will hold, resistance will hold. That's what those things are in play for. Yes, they eventually will break. They don't always break, Some things hold forever, like Bitcoin at 3,000, whatever. But until they break, you should assume that they hold. And that's how you calculate your risk. So, so that being said, I honestly I'm a little more optimistic at a bullish week for Ethereum. Let's go to the 4 hour, and this the Aaron trend's kind of showing. If we break this, that kind of makes my theory a little more probabilistic. So that's what I got with that. Let's go to the ETH versus the Bitcoin chart weekly. A little messy. I think part of that, the merge had a lot to play with that. Just big, huge kind of range, really, ever since like May of 2021. So there's a lot happening here, but there's also not a lot happening here. I think this will get much more smoothed out. I would like to see some indecision or some decision happening sometime soon, but I don't think we'll get it for the rest of the year. For the weekly, I would like this to hold, and this breaker gives me confidence that this might retest. Bulls want this to hold here, but especially hold here at 5.5. On the daily, though, we got kind of a, I think we can see that a little better on the 12-hour. Got this continuation trend, which makes me think that we will just go down. So, I would probably be much more of a buyer here at this level than anywhere else. So that's kind of what I see on this. For now, Ethereum is stronger, and I'd like to see it stay that way. That's usually a good sign that the market would be improving, but we'll see. So, all right, let's go to Solana. So Solana looks pretty bad here on the weekly. I see no reason why it can't retest the 23s. Get rid of all this mess here. And let's do the fib here. So we're kind of hovering below this so far. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. If you're a bull, Aaron did have an indecision. It broke bearish. So that does give me reason to believe that we might hit the low 20s. But this also gives us a setup for a bullish consolidation. If this fails to make a new low within 2 weeks, I think we can look at a potential run. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see what it looks like on 3-day. Nothing really to confirm, honestly. Unless something, kind of janky, but unless this breaks, I don't see why we can't just go like this. So, we could go like this and then go back down. And there's a lot of variables in play here. But for now, no confirmation of anything. Daily doesn't really seem to, confer that it doesn't really show anything as well. That's why I kind of focus on 3-day. And, like I said, with Ethereum or Bitcoin, 4 hours is a bunch of noise. So, and that's what I got with these pairs for now. And let's take a look at Atom really quick. Because this had a big run up before, and we're kind of getting some weakness here. Got the weekly bear div or the weekly bear trend on the Aaron. So this is something that I would consider shorting at the top of this trend here. This would be one short I would consider, but I'd like to get this to close on the weekly first. But we can see the weakness and Atom happening. And you can see here on the trend line as well, it's starting to consolidate at the line. So I can see this finally getting a relief trend for a little bit. So I think that's it for now. I think I'll do some more updates on Telegram and on Twitter, and I'll let you guys know. Thanks for watching.